It's never easy to be ignored, especially if you feel anything for that individual. Not knowing whether you've done anything wrong, what you can do to put things right, or if there is anything you can do at all may be confusing and distressing. Alpha guys may react angrily or try to get the woman's attention again. While beta guys could exhibit excessive emotional outbursts or clinginess, what about sigma males? When a lady they're interested in ignores them, how does their specific personality type react? Despite their outward appearance of composure, they have a lot going on within their thoughts. He will behave in these 9 ways. When a woman ignores a sigma guy, first of all, this guy isn't one to act on impulse, therefore he doesn't stoically plead for her attention. A sigma guy won't pursue a woman if she doesn't show interest. He understands his worth and doesn't need to convince anybody to notice him, so instead of attempting to get her attention, he keeps his cool and goes about his life. Instead than chasing after someone who ignores him, which some could see as disinterest, he would rather be alone or spend time with those who appreciate his company. His self-esteem won't let it if one lady goes and another comes into his life. Someone will strive to remain and plead for his attention if they really want to be in his life. This kind of behavior is seen by Sigma as a test of her self-respect. If she is not prepared to work for it, then she is not deserving of his attention. Alpha men could see this as a challenge, competing and exerting more effort to win her over in the hopes that she would change her mind. In an attempt to persuade her of their love, beta guys may get overcome by their feelings and wait for her to change their mind. The Sigma guy, on the other hand, is more concerned with recognizing his value and not sacrificing it for someone who doesn't recognize it than he is with obtaining or demonstrating love. Since his sense of value is independent of her behavior, he doesn't care if she later changes her mind. As someone once put it, if you have to chase her, she's not worth catching. Number 2, he doesn't react emotionally. When they don't get the reaction they anticipate from a lady, some guys have outgrown their immature conduct. The Sigma guy maintains his cool and controls his emotions, whereas others may respond by being overly emotional, whining, or even hurling insults. You wouldn't know it by looking at him. But it's not that he doesn't feel anything, he does, just like everyone else. He stands back and considers the situation calmly rather than becoming angry or bombarding him with messages asking what went wrong. He brushes it aside and keeps his head up, concentrating on other important matters, knowing that if someone really cared, they wouldn't play games like this in the first place. He has too much self-control and too many other things to allow the quiet treatment get to him. His focus on being composed and moving on may sometimes work to his advantage, since it might surprise the lady and make her question why he isn't responding the way she would if she sees that he isn't disturbed by her ignoring him. Thirdly, he avoids pursuing someone who is blind to it. He is neither chilly or haughty, despite what others may believe. He won't give her the fulfillment he wants and will just leave and move on if he feels she's playing hard to get or attempting to make him jealous, since Sigma males aren't one to fall for tricks or manipulation. Some women deliberately avoid males in the hopes that they would pique their attention and be pursued. Staying out of the chase is important for Sigma. He won't spend time attempting to convince her if she doesn't perceive his worth. His sense of independence keeps him from chasing after those who don't appreciate him. He values his own time too much to play cat and mouse, so you won't find him bombarding her with texts or making grandiose gestures to get her attention. She won't have to seek him out if she is intended to be in his life. In a world where everyone appears to be fighting for his attention, this may be incredibly seductive to some, since it demonstrates that he is self-assured and not eager for anyone's approval or companionship. Other women who appreciate such subtlety are often drawn to his icy indifference, which may be refreshing. The guarantee number for he doesn't try to win a woman's attention by changing himself to suit her. Men often alter their identities in an effort to fit the role they believe a woman wants them to play, including altering their hobbies, values, or even their clothing. Even if it takes completely changing who they are, they will stop at nothing to get her love or attention. They will attempt it even if they don't know whether what they're doing will work. Since a Sigma male's individuality and genuineness are indisputable, he would never do it. Because he is confident in himself and doesn't need approval from others, a Sigma guy doesn't alter who he is in order to win over others. Even though it may sound paradoxical, he isn't scared to stand out and be unique, even if it means not meeting her expectations. He won't alter who he is at his core to please her, nor will he pretend to appreciate things he doesn't because she does. Eventually, when he is unable to keep up the facade, changing for someone else will only cause him to become resentful. Since women are attracted to guys who are unapologetically themselves, this actually makes him more beautiful since it demonstrates his strength of character and confidence, two qualities that are widely desired. Fifth, he doesn't let her ignorance make him feel less valuable. It may be very harmful to one's self-esteem to be ignored. Sigma male takes a woman's disregard for him as a sign of her loss rather than something to be upset about. On a profoundly emotional level, the natural response could be to question what's wrong with them or what they did to become invisible to others. It's like sending a message and never receiving the read receipt. He keeps his head up, remains on course, and lives the rocket life with or without her approval. It would be wonderful if she paid attention, but her lack of interest doesn't determine his worth. Knowing and embracing who you are is more important than being conceited. Especially if she doesn't make an effort to get to know him, his sense of self-worth is independent of what other people think of him. This is where alpha and sigma men differ. An alpha male's self-esteem may be negatively impacted by being ignored. It is simple for a guy to start questioning himself when he is neglected. Even if a sigma man is unfazed, number 6, he just remains himself. Whether they should be more gregarious or humorous, many guys may attempt to change by being harsh. It may be draining and make them feel inadequate as they are, but a sigma guy avoids this trap. They may seem as if they don't care when they are sensitive, but in reality, they do this. Whether she recognizes him or not, he remains true to himself and isn't interested in changing his appearance or adopting a different character in order to attract attention. He just doesn't pretend to be someone he's not. It doesn't make sense, and his confidence doesn't change depending on who is watching him. In a world full of people constantly trying to impress someone, the Sigma's true and steady nature stands out whether or not she notices. He continues to live his life on his own terms, and others view him as a trustworthy man who knows himself and doesn't waver no matter what. 7th, he doesn't elevate her. Too many men make the mistake of adoring a woman, following every word she says as though she were a celebrity. They will treat her as though she were untouchable and flawless, but that is simply not how life works. A Sigma doesn't believe that when a woman ignores him, he will elevate her or treat her as though she is superior to him. To him, everyone is equal and deserving of respect, but no one is more significant than anyone else. He keeps things honest and views her as a human being with all the normal flaws that everyone has, if she isn't interested. This attitude gives him a quiet power. He's not loud about it, but he's too busy living his own life to worry about someone who doesn't see the good things he brings to the table. Number 8. He pays her back in the form of coin when she realizes what she did. When a woman who previously ignored a man understands her oversight and decides to give him attention. He doesn't make her into this perfect person he can't have. Instead, he just accepts the situation and moves on by keeping her off that pedestal while staying grounded and remembering his own worth without needing confirmation from others. There is no bitterness or a great display of, "I told you so." He may even be friendly and courteous, but if he feels a connection, he doesn't let that sudden change in her behavior change him. Some guys might seize the opportunity, but Sigma male doesn't. Instead, he treats her the same way he treats everyone else, with respect and honesty. This level of self-assurance and the capacity to treat others fairly regardless of the past underscores a maturity that is both admirable and magnetic. Number. If he was fine without her attention before, he is still fine without needing to change because he continues to live his life adhering to his authentic self, proving that he is not defined by anyone else's recognition, or lack thereof. He will consider the future objectively, keeping in mind that he shouldn't sacrifice his morals just because she is now expressing interest. 9. Carries his head high as he leaves. A man who really values himself is aware of when to go. He just accepts it and goes on if he is being ignored, rather than pouting or plotting his next move to attract attention. He brushes it off and carries on as if it were water off a duck's back. Since the Sigma person has his own path to focus on and doesn't need attention to realize his value, he leaves without any drama, without animosity, and most definitely without looking back. He doesn't see it as a victory lap, even if she begins paying attention out of the blue. Instead, he just remains loyal to himself. Being disregarded won't change the fact that he is firmly anchored in his identity and principles. He has a lot of aspirations and personal objectives that he wants to achieve without any hassle. Although it hurts for a moment, he quickly gets over it while keeping a composed demeanor. Self-control and inner power of this kind are desirable qualities that show a Sigma man really knows his worth, whether or not others see it.